This schematic visualizes the exact dimensions laid out by Plato in Timaeus and Critias. He described an empire protected by specific, concentric rings of water and land, providing precise measurements using the Greek stadium, about 185 meters. The capital contained immense wealth. Residents mined a copper alloy called orichalcum. The center ring housed a massive temple dedicated to Poseidon, featuring a colossal golden statue. Then the empire met a violent end. Plato wrote that earthquakes and floods swallowed the island entirely, and the civilization disappeared beneath the ocean in a single, terrible day and night. If Plato had kept the story vague, it might have remained a simple philosophical fable about human arrogance, but he provided exact geographic parameters, architectural blueprints, and resource lists. That exactness turned a morality tale into a geographical cold case that explorers have debated for thousands of years. To find the source of the story, researchers look for civilizations that match the profile of sudden destruction. One prominent suspect is the Minoan settlement of Akrotiri on the Aegean island of Santorini. Between 1640 and 1630 BC, a massive volcanic eruption triggered tsunamis and buried the site under a thick layer of ash, matching the timeline and the catastrophic end. Others look to Africa, specifically a massive geological formation in Mauritania known as the Richat Structure, or the Eye of the Sahara. Its concentric rings roughly mirror Plato's layout, and researchers suggest that rapidly rising sea levels at the end of the last ice age could have flooded the region, creating the illusion of a sunken city. Then there are underwater anomalies, like the Yonaguni structures in the Pacific, or the Bimini Road in the Bahamas. Divers frequently point to these massive stones with seemingly perfect 90-degree angles as proof of submerged architecture. Geology offers a natural explanation. A process called lithification hardens deposited materials over millions of years into solid rock. When those rocks are subjected to immense environmental pressure or tectonic shifts, they fracture. Those stress fractures naturally break at perfect 90 or 120-degree angles. The physical and geological evidence shows that a single, sunken continent perfectly matching Plato's description is impossible. Yet the human obsession with the story persists, because the core fear it represents, a powerful civilization erased by the environment in an instant, is entirely real. For centuries, the city of Troy was considered a pure myth, a stage built by Homer for the Iliad. That changed in 1870, when a German explorer named Heinrich Schliemann used the epic poem as a literal map and actually located the ruins of the city in modern-day Turkey. Schliemann's success proved that ancient legends often conceal historical facts. He applied the same method to locate Mycenae, the wealthy Achaean acropolis in Greece described in the same myths, bringing to light heavy stone walls and royal tombs that had been lost for 3 millennia. Excavations frequently reveal the violent ends of these early empires. The Roman city of Pompeii experienced an overnight cataclysm during the 79 AD eruption of Mount Vesuvius. A lethal pyroclastic flow, a superheated avalanche of volcanic gas and solid material, rushed down the mountain and instantly annihilated the population. That avalanche of ash and pumice buried the city completely. By sealing it off from the air and the elements, the volcano essentially froze Pompeii in time, leaving us a perfectly preserved forensic record of Roman daily life. Pompeii and Mycenae prove that a thriving society can be snuffed out in hours. They validate the deep-seated human fear of immediate catastrophic destruction, giving historical weight to the one terrible day and night narrative.
However, sudden geological violence is the exception. The capital of the Khmer Empire, at Angkor, housed magnificent temples and a complex hydraulic network between the 9th and 15th centuries. It wasn't destroyed by a single event. Its residents slowly abandoned it to the encroaching jungle after a brutal cycle of severe droughts and torrential rains broke their infrastructure. The massive city-states of the pre-Columbian Maya suffered a similar fate. Places like Tikal flourished for centuries, developing advanced mathematics and astronomy. Then, multi-decade droughts severely limited their water supply, leading to famine, internal warfare, and a mass emigration away from the major urban centers. Today, airborne LIDAR technology, which uses lasers to map the ground beneath thick vegetation, is exposing hidden metropolises we never knew existed. In the Upanhano River Valley of the Amazon, researchers recently revealed complex settlements dating back to 500 BC, complete with plazas and extensive road networks. These Amazonian cities, the Mayan capitals, and Angkor all share a common pathology. Changing trade routes starved their economies, while intensive farming and massive deforestation stripped the soil of nutrients. They dismantled their own agricultural networks, trying to feed their growing populations. The autopsy of these empires shows that the true danger to human civilization is rarely a mythical flood or a sudden earthquake. The real threat is the slow, often invisible exhaustion of the resources that keep a society alive. Despite evidence of how cities actually fall, the romantic promise of a hidden utopia exacts a heavy toll on those who search for it. In the early 20th century, British surveyor Percy Fawcett became consumed by a colonial manuscript describing a lost advanced civilization in the Brazilian Mato Grosso. He called it the Lost City of Z. He vanished into the jungle in 1925 and was never seen again. That lethal allure started centuries earlier in the Andes with the legend of El Dorado. It originated from real ceremonies held by the Muisca people, where chiefs would coat themselves in gold dust and submerge themselves in a sacred lagoon. To the Spanish conquerors, this story mutated into an entire city made of solid gold. Driven by the promise of unimaginable wealth, waves of European explorers plunged deep into the Amazon. Expeditions led by men like Francisco Pizarro and Walter Raleigh yielded no golden cities, resulting instead in starvation, disease, and thousands of deaths. The harsh environment of the jungle is brutal, but the true danger lies in the psychological grip of the myth itself. The obsession with finding an impossible city overrides logic, driving people past the point of survival. This diagram shows the hypothetical continent of Lemuria. In 1864, biologist Philip Sclater proposed a massive sunken land bridge connecting Madagascar and India to explain scattered lemur fossils. Plate tectonics later disproved this, yet esoteric groups had already adopted it into their lore. We see the same pattern with Atlantis. Plato designed the story as a philosophical warning, detailing how an ethically sound society became corrupted by greed and a desire for dominance. He destroyed the island in his text to show the consequences of unchecked ambition. We never found the golden temples of Atlantis or El Dorado, but the obsessive quest to locate these phantom cities drove explorers to dig, document, and map the unknown. Searching for magic ultimately gave birth to the science of archaeology, allowing us to unearth the complex, fragile, and entirely real history of human civilization.